Hi and welcome to my channel, Finding My Voice Again. I'm Rebecca and this is My Buddy Boots. This channel is about my journey and experience of having dysphonia, and if you'd like to find out a bit more about me and of course my buddy here, I do recommend you watch episode 1, an introduction to me and my dysphonia. As this is just going to provide you a bit of context around all of my videos, those that I've done and future videos as well. So this episode is going to be the first of 2, so part 1, and it's just going to be covering the impacts of having dysphonia that I've personally experienced. So that being socially, financially, mentally, emotionally, and of course the physical elements, which is a running theme throughout all of my videos. So to give you a bit of background around how I am generally from an emotional perspective, I am probably one of the most positive people you could probably ever meet, to be fair. All of my past experiences relating to my health, I have nothing but sort of positive thoughts and experiences to share. Yes, there's always the physical pain, which is incredibly tough, but from a well-being and mental health perspective, I've always felt sort of very much on the positive side of the scale. And I actually won an award at work for my positivity. I will find a silver lining in absolutely any situation. And it's, probably one of my biggest personality traits. But having dysphonia has been my first real experience of being on the other end of the scale. I have found this one of the hardest experiences of my life. In fact, it's the hardest health experience I've had. And I've had my spine reconstructed. I've had to learn to walk again. I've lost the ability to use my arms and hands and wrists fully, and I truly have found this the toughest experience. For a very, very, very long time, I couldn't find any silver linings at all, and it just felt like such an out of character, out of body experience. And that's because I found dysphonia just so lonely, incredibly isolating, very disconnecting from the rest of the world. It was completely full of unknowns as well. There's no element of dysphonia that's controllable, and I am naturally by nature a little bit of a control freak. So that uncertainty, those unknowns, that timeline of never knowing when I would even remotely feel anything but horrific, was really difficult for me to sort of digest and process and understand and work with emotionally. And I think the whole concept of the fact that I really get a lot of my energy off people, and the fact that I have got through all the other things I have because of my ability to talk and connect with people, and then I couldn't with this health problem, I found incredibly difficult. The hardest thing for me was not being able to work. I really, really struggled with this. One, because I had worked so hard to get to where I was through everything I'd been through health-wise. And I was so proud of what I'd achieved. And it felt like the dysphonia just took all of that from me. And it completely jeopardised my future plans and everything that I thought I was going to become, and my career aspirations, everything, because I just didn't know if I'd returned to work what that would look like. I still don't know what it fully looks like because I'm still on the journey. But there was a point where I was like, what if I can never work again? What if this is just stuck forever? So that was really difficult. Also, I worked 4 days a week, so socially a lot of my interactions were through work, and I really missed the daily interactions with the people that I worked with. You know, those conversations where loads of creativity was flowing, you know, all these fantastic ideas were taking place, the excitement of getting actions done and, you know, sort of ordered out, that was all took away from me. I think also work gave me a really great routine. So not working, I had no routine at all. Like, I didn't really have to get up for anything, you know. If it wasn't for the pets, I probably wouldn't have even bothered getting out of bed, quite frankly, because there was just no purpose. My purpose was work. It was a big part of my identity, and dysphonia had, in my eyes, sort of robbed me of that, really. It took, you know, my purpose away, essentially. So that was incredibly difficult for me. So yeah, not working, and I still find it difficult being on a phased return, because the control freak side of me is like, I need to know when I'm going to be back 100%. I need to know what that looks like. I need to know what it means for the next year, the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. What does it mean for my career? But I'm having to learn to, you know, just be really pleased with the present day. Just be grateful that I have been able to go back to work in some capacity, because I know without it, it's incredibly difficult for me. Also, you know, there's financial impacts when you can't work as well. So, you know, you may go on reduced sick pay, you may not get any pay, depending what type of employment you have. And that creates an emotional and financial burden as well, and stress. Of course, dysphonia really impacts socially. All aspects of your social life is taken away, put into jeopardy, is sort of robbed from you when you have dysphonia. You can't do the usual activities you long to do. You can't go into a noisy environment. You can't just have a phone catch up or a face-to-face catch up with someone. You can't go into, like I say, any loud environment. So that can be anything from like a loud shop to a loud music venue. You can't go out for meals the same way, because certain foods can really trigger pain and make it even more challenging to talk as well. So all of those things that you wouldn't even think twice to do socially are suddenly, they can't be done. Or if they are done, it means that you're going to be sort of jeopardising your recovery, or it means you're going to spend the next few days in even more pain than you usually are. So you're trying to weigh up what's worth it, what's not. So yeah, socially, it changes everything. And I don't know for anyone else, but for me, I've always talked about what's going on with my health. And I really wanted to talk about what was going on in my head as well. And I couldn't talk about anything, because if I did, it was too painful. So when you're always told to talk about, you know, your mental health, your well-being, but when you can't, it's taken from you. And what made it harder for me is I can't excessively use my hands and wrists for things like texting and typing. So I usually actually do most of my typing and texting via voice. So I didn't have my voice, I couldn't really write everything down either. But if you can, I truly recommend that you do. You know, you write everything down that you're feeling, you get your thoughts out, because it is a horrific storm in your head when you have no way of outletting it. So yeah, I found that social side very challenging. Also physically. So it's not just the physical pain going off in your throat and in your chest, in your neck, in your shoulders. It is so draining. Like, it makes you so incredibly fatigued. Like, I've never felt so exhausted from doing so little, because it just takes all of your energy trying to manage and trying to recover from dysphonia. And that's something you don't really think about until you have dysphonia. I really struggled with my sleep when it came to dysphonia. I had horrific periods of months with insomnia. At its worst, I had 6 hours sleep in 4 days, and I think not sleeping or sleeping very little, having disrupted sleep and having no sleep routine as well, makes healing and recovery and coping with your emotions even harder. So I really felt my sleep was negatively impacted. I'd never particularly had major issues with sleep other than when I had the CRPS, but that got quickly resolved with the help of neuropathic medication. But I couldn't take that in this instance. So yeah, just months of hellish sleep, and likely that because I had no routine either, I wouldn't sleep for most of the night, and then I would be sleeping until 10, 11 a.m. and just feeling even worse for it as well. Also at the beginning I had horrific pain constantly, so you would just be very conscious when you were lying there in bed for hours on end of the horrific burning continuously, and that created a lot of worry, a lot of panic, a lot of negative thoughts, like what if I'm always in pain, what if I can't work, what does this mean for me financially, what if I can't ever interact with people the way I thought I could, etc, etc. So yeah, it's just a constant cycle really when it comes to sleep. Also, I'm a huge foodie. Like, I love food. Food was everything to me before this. And one of the huge things I loved doing was making new food, experimenting with spices and flavours and eating out in new places. And I just felt with this condition, I couldn't eat anything that brought me any joy at all. I have now found a number of places that do food that I do get a lot of joy from, predominantly vegan places, and I have found food that probably not what I'd choose to eat, but I don't mind eating it all. So every day I have like ham and fried egg sandwich, like religiously for lunch I'll have that. You know, it's okay kind of thing. It's a lot better than what I started with when I really was eating nothing but the very basic plain food. But I felt so miserable without food to give me that joy, that buzz, those endorphins, that happiness, and looking forward to going out as well. So I found food a bit of a challenge with this, but I am getting there, and I've got a much happier relationship with food now that I've kind of learnt what I can tolerate and what I can't. And I do have points where I do eat what I shouldn't. You know, I have a meal that I shouldn't maybe once a month or something, and I think it's a little bit good for the soul. They're probably not medically recommended. So there's also the financial aspect of dysphonia. These may not apply for everybody, but they're things to be conscious of. So it's things like having anti-reflux liquid or tablets. I might as well have an investment in anti-reflux liquid, because I swear to God I'm keeping all of those companies going because I have to order that much. You go through it so quickly. You know, having it 4 times a day to make sure that reflux doesn't cause any additional problems with the vocal area. Also, things like having regular glycerin tablets, aloe juice, aloe vera juice itself. That all comes at a cost, and when you're having to have it daily, it really can financially add up as well. Also, having things like massage and physiotherapy for pain associated with dysphonia in the shoulder and the neck. Once again, it's a continuous financial cost to help manage and maintain that area that's been impacted. You know, you have travel to appointments as well. You may have to pay for voice therapy as well. So that is another cost that's associated with dysphonia. And also sort of wellbeing and mental health related therapies you may have to pay for, which once again adds up to the long list of things you're already paying for just to help manage the dysphonia. And I think financially it can cause a lot of strain, it can cause stress and resentment, because you're thinking, I've worked so hard and my money is just going on my health, and where's the reward? So it can cause financial resentment and stress as well, and it's something you have to factor in when you're budgeting any of your finances. But these are things that will be a short-term hit, hopefully for a long-term gain. I also think emotionally, to summarise really, I felt very, very angry. Like, I just felt so much anger. You know, I kept thinking, why me? Like, why has it had to happen? Why did this happen to me? This has took everything. I felt incredibly sad for myself as well. I felt so sad about so many situations it had changed or took away from me. I felt like it gave me such a pointless existence. You know, it's kind of like, well, who am I with my voice, without my voice? Because my voice is my access to everything. To work, to socialise, to build connections, to do activities I enjoy, to eat food I enjoy. I felt very emotionally drained as well, very, very fatigued. Obviously not sleeping really didn't help. And I just felt overall very, very unhappy. And for someone, like I say, who is and was very, very positive, not being able to find silver linings, not to feel that sort of spark and sort of ray of hope, was incredibly challenging for me. So that's really a bit of a summary around all of the social, financial, mental, emotional and physical impacts I've experienced personally of having dysphonia. Part 2 is going to be covering how I've dealt with all of these impacts, and that'll range from talking around different therapies that I've had, right through to books I've enjoyed reading that I've really helped with my mental health and well-being. So I really look forward to sharing that with you, and I really hope it helps. I hope this episode, if you're feeling any of the way that I did, offers you a bit of reassurance that you're not on your own at all, and there are brighter days ahead. So I hope you have a good rest of the day, from me and from Boots, who's currently hiding in the back of my hair. Bye.